Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Judge Lopez. Today is May 23rd. I'm going to call the 10 a.m. case. It's Loyalty Ventures 23-90111 here on an emergency motion for an order to lift the automatic stay. There's about 20 people on the line. I'm going to ask everyone to just keep your phone on mute unless you're making an appearance today or wish to speak. Let me go ahead and take appearances, and I'll start with counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Rachel Bibble-Walk with Aiken on behalf of the debtors, and I'm joined by my colleagues Meredith LaHaye, Lacey Lawrence, and Dennis Wincheffel, and our co-counsel Jackson Walker.
Sounds great. Good morning. Good morning. Anyone else wish to make an appearance? All righty. I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. First, we know how busy the court is, so we want to thank you and your team for making time for us today for this motion. On Wednesday, May 17th, we filed an emergency motion seeking an order modifying the automatic stay to the extent applicable to allow for payment, reimbursement, and advancement of defense costs under the debtors, directors, and officers insurance policies. And that motion is at docket number 35. We filed this emergency motion because on April 27th, certain shareholders of debtor Loyalty Ventures, Inc. filed a putative class action complaint in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Ohio against several parties, including two of the debtor's current officers, whom I will refer to during my presentation as the LVI defendants. The complaint alleges violations of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. In connection with this lawsuit, the LVI defendants have requested advancement of defense costs and expenses under the debtor's D&O policies. The policies provide $55 million in total coverage, including applicable here, side age coverage for the debtors, directors, and officers where the debtors have not indemnified the applicable directors and officers, and side A only coverage with difference in conditions protection for insured persons, including the debtors, directors, and officers, which can act like primary policies and pay for first dollar loss for non-indemnifiable claims and fill in certain coverage gaps. Additionally, the primary D&O policy has an order of payments clause, which provides that when payment is due under the provisions of the policy, the insurer is required to first pay all loss covered under Side A coverage, which includes the debtors, directors, and officers' defense costs. The debtors do not believe the proceeds from Side A coverage and Side A only coverage with difference in conditions protection are property of the estate. They'll file this motion out of an abundance of caution and for the benefit of the insurers. However, even if the proceeds are property of the estate, cause exists to modify the stay here. In particular, the debtors' officers are heavily involved in and crucial to the completion of the company's sale of its air miles business and achieving the effective date of the plan. Those transactions are key to the debtor stakeholders' recoveries and the goals for the Chapter 11 cases. The LVI defendants' work in connection with these transactions is critical, and in order to consummate these transactions, they cannot at this time be distracted by or diverting their attention to the lawsuit and the funding of defense. Your Honor, yesterday we filed a revised proposed order at docket number 243 to incorporate certain reporting requirements at the request of certain of our lenders. No objections have been filed on the docket, and we have not received any informal objections, but I do appreciate that this is moving on an expedited basis, so others may wish to speak on the motion. Unless Your Honor has any questions for me, I respectfully request that the revised proposed order at docket number 243 be entered, and I'm happy to cede the podium to anyone else who would like to be heard on the motion.
Okay. Anyone else wish to be heard in connection with the motion? And you may need to hit 5* if I haven't unmuted your line. Does anyone else wish to be heard in connection with the motion? Okay. I'm going to note that, just for the record, the court is considering the emergency motion for entry of an order modifying the stay and authorizing the use of estate assets to the extent applicable to allow payments or reimbursements of defense costs under insurance policies. It was filed at docket number 235. It was filed on May 17th. So there is a request for emergency consideration of this motion, I think for all the reasons stated by Ms. Blott, it's clearly emergency consideration is warranted under the circumstances, so I'm going to grant emergency consideration of the motion. Moving to the merits of the motion, I'm going to grant the relief requested. It's appropriate and it's important for all the reasons Ms. Bibelblock stated. I'm going to really rely on the analysis and then the pleadings and on the analysis that you provided, which was fantastic. It just gave me everything that I needed to know and the comfort to know that this is required and it's important, and there's an active litigation going on. So I've reviewed the proposed order early this morning, and it makes sense to me. Just going to provide some notice to some parties about what's going on and the nature of the extent, and that makes sense to me. I think it's reasonable, appropriate, and so I'm going to grant the relief requested. I'm going to find that there's been proper notice of today's hearing in service of the motion, and I'm going to sign the order at 2:43. And so I've reviewed that order, and I'm going to sign it right now, and I'm going to sign it while you're here to make sure that you can hold me accountable that I actually did sign it when I said I signed it. Okay. All right, it is off to docketing. And is there anything else we can talk about today?
Nothing else. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I like the cat back there. It's a cool picture.
Thank you.
All righty, take care. Have a good day. Thanks, everyone.